Tesham Tathagato Hyavatat Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramanaye Svaha Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Tesham Tathagato Hyavatat Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramanaye Svaha Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Tesham Tathagato Hyavatat Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramanaye Svaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of causes as well as taught by the great seer. Okay, is there anybody who can help me to by reminding me of where we left yesterday? Three levels of dependent origination. Good. Okay. And we also started the four essentials. We started the four essentials. Have we completed number 2, number 3? 10? Only first. Okay. And while we touched on the 3 levels of dependent origination, is for the reason that they related to the first essential of identified object negation, essential identified object negation. What we said is that the object negation, which is to be negated, to say that emptiness means no objective existence. Objective existence negated. When you negate objective existence, you have to precisely know what precisely means by objective existence. If you don't identify that so precisely, then you could not identify the object negation well. If not, you cannot get emptiness. Because let's say, for example, what is the objective existence of the flower? Emptiness of flower. Flower is objective negation. Negate flower. If you negate flower, you fall into nihilism. It's not emptiness. So therefore, you have to identify the object negation so well. And to a great extent, when you say there is no flower, to some extent, it does help. For example, like, say that, we deliberately, when we have some, problems, we meet with some tragedies and so forth, some people will advise you, don't think about this. Don't think about this means that you cut off yourself from this. So flower, don't think about the flower, no flower. Then your agitation subsides. That is very temporary. Because one day you will again see the flower. Okay, so you have a conflict with somebody, person A, and it disturbs you so much, and then your mother or father, whoever comes to you, don't think about this person, it's just stop. Just forget about it, forget. And you forget it, and then you are taken to some other place where you cannot see the person A. You are relieved, but it's very temporary relief. Because anytime, somewhere, again you can meet the person A. Anytime. So these are temporary measures, these are not the lasting measures. What's the lasting measure is what we said yesterday, that the dream, the contents of the dream, if you know that they're all coming from your mind, then the fear dissolves. That fear dissolves for good with respect to that dream. Knowing that this dream is coming from your mind, there, for example, let's say that like a dream, you think about the person who made you smile. Think about this person, you do not smile, knowing that this is all coming from your mind. So, seeing things as subjectively real, that quells all your mental diseases, mental ill health, mental stress, tension, depression, and so forth. Seeing things objectively real, that leaves you to become vulnerable. Vulnerable, meaning that you are prone to the loss of freedom happens, in other words, loss of freedom miseries. Okay. So the next question is, in other words, what we also said was that the object identification should be such that you negate it. The moment object negation is negated, simultaneously you should realize emptiness. And what's the indication the realize emptiness is that your negative emotions stop and your positive emotions arise. Your positive emotions will arise, negative emotions dissolve. So, emptiness and dependent origination, these two are the two sides of the same coin, which we learned last time. Emptiness equals dependent origination, and dependent origination equals middle way. Therefore, emptiness is the middle way. This is what we learned. So, emptiness equals dependent origination. These two are the two sides of the same coin. So, given that these are two sides of the same coin, what's the benefit? This is so important. So sometimes people make a joke. Even for the emptiness, never ever joke. Never joke. Emptiness, or you're having cheesecake, it's empty. Don't joke. But these are very important matters, which is going to liberate you. And if you make fun of them, fun of this, even the liberating part is made fun of by you. And if this is not there, and what will liberate you? Never ever joke related to triple gem. Never ever joke with love karma. Never ever joke with emptiness. Never ever joke with bodhicitta and so forth. So these things must be revered. These are not the object of joke. Because these help you to be liberated. These will help you to take you to what you desire, fearlessness and infinite happiness. Okay, never be joke with these things. And so these are two sides of the same coin, emptiness and dependent origination. What do I mean by that? Say, when you see the emptiness, all the negative emotions will dissolve, the fears will dissolve. When you see dependent origination, all your virtues will grow. Compassion, generosity, all the virtues will grow always one standing theme and dependent origination. So in other words, let's say, how many of you use tea strainer in your life? Tea strainer, raise hands. Tea strainer. Okay, what is tea strainer in Hindi? Channi. Okay, what is tea strainer in Ladakhi? Chasaks. Chasaks is better. Success is to sieve. Right? Okay, chasa is better. In Tibetan is chasa. In Ladakh, chasaks. In Hindi, channi. Chani. Yeah. Okay. So how many use that? Raise hands. In English, tea strainer. How many use that? Raise hands. Okay, the boy there, tell me, why do you use tea strainer? What for? Anyone? Raise hands. Raise hands. Hey, raise your hands who know tea strainer. Okay, the girl there, behind Anjali. Say it again. No, yes, say it again. To strain the tea, yes. What do you mean by to strain the tea? Why do you have to strain the tea? Yes, to separate the two things. what is impure, what is not drinkable, the tea leaves, hold them back, don't let it go, stop it. And the drinkable tea which you like, let it flow smoothly. You're getting it to separate the two things. So this is the job of the tea strainer. So this wisdom of emptiness, what it does is that it stops all, like it serves as a tea strainer. What's your name? Dechenle. Oh, what Dechenle said is perfect. How? Say the tea strainer, it stops the non-drinkable tea residue, stop it. Stop all the negative emotions, anger, attachment, fear, jealousy, and so forth. And then it lets freely flow the drinkable tea. It lets freely flow your virtues, the compassion, and so forth. It lets freely grow your virtues. You're getting it? So this is the benefit of wisdom of emptiness. And how does it work? Because it has two sides, wisdom of emptiness and dependent origination. By seeing these are just the two things of the same thing, the two aspects of the same object. Emptiness, it stops all the negative thoughts, negative emotions. And with the dependent origination, understanding of dependent origination will let flow all your virtues, compassion, and so forth, very powerfully. So this is the purpose. Okay. So let's not forget this part. This is very important, and particularly those people who are from NMC 2, NMC 1, and this is 1 to 3. You will feel the weight of this line. This is so important. And those of us who are new, don't worry. Just remember this. This is a very important statement. Object of negation emptiness should be, how you identify that, is that it should be identified in such a way that when you reject it, when you reject object negation, simultaneously emptiness must be realized. You reject it and emptiness is not realized, then what if rejected is not object negation. Object negation is such that you reject it, simultaneously emptiness must be realized. You getting it? So therefore, let's say that, okay, what's object negation emptiness of the flower? If you say permanent flower, the flower is permanent. You reject the permanence of the flower, simultaneously what you realize is impermanent. You don't realize emptiness. You getting it? You realize impermanence, not the emptiness. So likewise, somebody tells you that, okay, you need a laptop. I'll give you a very good laptop. I'll give you a very good laptop, but I'll give you money. You can buy it. And the person gives you, let's say that person gives you $10 for you to buy a very good laptop. $10. Is it good enough? No, it's good enough for cheesecake. That's it. It will not make you to buy laptop. For laptop, $10 is nothing. You agree? So likewise, rejecting permanent flower, this is nothing. This is very gross in comparison to understanding emptiness. So therefore, permanent flower or substantial flower and so forth, these are all very gross. These don't suffice as object negation. You're getting what is object negation should be like? It should be that when you reject it, simultaneously you realize emptiness. You're getting it? Okay. And they say when you see that the flower is not permanent, the flower is not object real, benefit is same, benefit is not same. Flower is not permanent. Is applicable only to say the things which are impermanent. Things which are impermanent. When you see that it's not permanent, then permanence is rejected, impermanence is implied. But when you say the flower is objectively, objective existence can be rejected on all phenomena. All phenomena, and that the emotions, say the seeing things object real, that is the mastermind of all the other afflictions. We're seeing the flower seeing the flower as permanent. It is not the mastermind. It is one of the offshoots of self-grasping ignorance. But if you see the emptiness, realize emptiness, then that dissolves the mastermind for all the afflictions. Iceberg underneath is melt. Then all what is stacked up there, attachment, anger, jealousy, fear, all these will be crumpled. So therefore, this is the power of the wisdom of emptiness. For us to realize emptiness is so important. Okay. So now, having identified the object of negation, what should we do? What should we be doing? After identifying the object of negation, what should we do? For example, once you identify the robber, what should we do? Huh? Hey, once you identify the robber, what should you do? Oh, now you're the robber. Okay, good. Now my job is done. And the robber will continue to rob you. So what should you do? Right? Huh? Habituate with the robber. Huh? No. What should we do with the robber? We have identified the robber. Get rid of the robber. You throw him out. Give him to the police or whatever. You have to do something, right? Don't say I identified the robber. Now done. My job is done, right? The robber will be very happy. Yes, I'm the robber. I will continue to rob you. You're getting it? You have to get rid of him. So likewise, once you identify object negation, what should you do? You have to reject it. You're getting it? How to reject it? Okay, this question. So rejection of objective existence is done by your mind or by what? By your mind. And with your mind, there are two classes. There are two classes of mind. What are they? Conventional analysis and ultimate analysis. Very good. Which of the two minds should be employed? Hey. Ultimate analysis. Very good. Very good. Ultimate analysis. What do you mean by ultimate analysis? Anyone?
Going towards the object.
Going closer to the object. Ultimate meaning object. So go closer to the object. Okay. For this, remember what Arya Nagarjuna, this very important line, 2 lines, you have to remember this. Arya Nagarjuna taught this in Precious Garland. The text is known as Precious Garland. But we keep in mind that there are so many texts by the same title, Precious Garland. Precious Garland by Arya Nagarjuna, Precious Garland by Venerable Kunjo Chingme Ompo, and Tennis Systems. There are so many books with the same title. Don't get mixed up. Right? Simply because the title comes Precious Garland doesn't mean it's by Arya Nagarjuna. Arya Nagarjuna Precious Garland is particularly on emptiness. Okay. So in this book, Precious Garland by Arya Nagarjuna, these 2 lines, note it down, and you may think that, oh, that's very easy, I don't have to note it down. So this is where, if you note it down, you can get a clarity. Later on, when you read it, you see the words so clear. And if you think you just underestimate it, okay, this is very simple, and I can remember it. Then later on, there are so many things to remember, and they're not difficult, they're easy. But then you will not remember the wordings. When you don't remember the wordings, the clarity will not come. Without the clarity of your mind, emptiness is far away for you to realize. Okay. So what Arya Nagarjuna taught is that if the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? Let me repeat it. If the mirage, M-I-R-A-G-E, if the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? If the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? Okay, what does it mean? What does these 2 lines mean? Imagine that you are 1 kilometer away from me and you see me in water. You see me in water. How do you evaluate? Tell me. How do you evaluate that I'm really in water or that what you're seeing is just mirage? How do you evaluate it? Dejan, how do you evaluate? Say you are 1 kilometer away from me, and you are seeing me in water, right? You're wondering, Geshe, I don't think he knows how to swim, right? But he's in water. Is it really water, or is it just my illusion, a mirage that I'm seeing water? How do you evaluate? Say it again. It seems like Dejana doesn't know mirage. What do you mean by what is mirage?
Illusion water.
Illusion water. Illusion water meaning? Water seen as a chocolate. Then? Okay, the girl here. What's your name? Huh? Dulma. Yeah, Dulma, tell me. How do you evaluate whether I'm actually in water or what are you seeing as a mirage? How do we evaluate that? Yes, closer where? Close towards me. You're getting it? Okay. So, that the, how many agree with Dhamma Harishan's? Perfect. Just go closer. Go closer to the object. Come and go closer to the object, you see that everything's so dry. There's no trace of water. What do you conclude? What I earlier saw as water was not water. It was mirage. You're getting it? This is how we deduce. A mirage is subjective or objective? Subjective. You're getting it? Okay. So with this in mind, to see, okay, now let's say this flower. This flower, okay, you look at it and see how this flower appear to you. As object real or subject real? Just look at it very carefully. It appears to object real. And how do we evaluate whether it actually exists objectively or not? So first, it appears objectively real. It appears in the form of object negation. Objective existence is the object negation. So what we said is that, what the Buddha taught is that nothing exists object real, which means that what we are seeing is object real, this is to be negated. We have to negate it. How do you negate it? How do you negate it? How do you evaluate whether the flower exists objectively or subjectively? How do you evaluate that? Manjariji?
You will come closer to it. You
come closer to this object. What is the technical term for that? Doala. Subject and flower to ultimate analysis. You're getting it? This is the technical term we use for going closer to this object. Very good. Okay, now we use ultimate analysis. We use ultimate analysis. Okay. Using ultimate analysis, we end up seeing atoms. First, we see these as, the cells, chromosomes, DNA molecules, atoms, and the protons, electrons, neutrons. You go closer, subject to the flower to the ultimate analysis. You end up seeing that just electrons, protons, neutrons, so forth. You don't see the flower. Flower disappears. Flower makes no sense. You getting it? Flower makes no sense. That's amazing. But we see a flower. Where's this flower that we are seeing? Where is it? Where is it? We are seeing flower. Invariably we are seeing flower. But when we go closer, to amazement, we see the flower is not really there. So you invariably see me in water from distance. When you come closer, you see there's no water at all. What did you conclude? What I earlier saw was deception. You getting it? So likewise, you see this as a flower. But then when you go closer, subject to the ultimate analysis, the flower disappears. What did you conclude? What I earlier saw as a flower, beautiful flower, there from the object is deception. You getting it? Good. Okay, now, subject and flower to ultimate analysis, what you end up seeing is you end up seeing the atoms. Atoms. And are the atoms a flower? No. The flower is very beautiful. Atoms are not at all beautiful. You getting it? And if the atoms are not the flower, and if you still believe the flower is subjectively, other option is remove all the atoms to see if there's a flower there, hiding behind the atoms. Remove the atoms, what do you see? Remove the, hey, it's all like you become like in a coma state. Remove the atoms, what happens to the flower? Flower disappears. There's no flower there. You getting it? That's interesting. You go to look for it, it's not really there. From distance, you see something. It's very scary also. You're getting it? Okay, look at the person sitting next to you. Look at the other person sitting next to you. Right? So seems like, okay, good. Now, good. So it seems like you're all enjoying looking at the other person. There's a smile there. There's no face of the fear. Right? There's no face of the fear. You're all smiling. Do you agree with me that that face which made you smile, there's nothing but bunch of atoms? Do you agree with me? And if you see a bunch of atoms, will you smile?
No.
You will not smile. You getting it? If you smile, then you have to go to mental hospital. You getting it? So where is that thing which made you smile? It's not there. It's just a bunch of atoms. Where is that? That thing which you identified as a face, that made you, where is it? Where is it? It's just a bunch of atoms. And a bunch of atoms will not make you smile. But something made you smile. Where is that thing which made you smile? Where is it? In your mind? And then you think about it, you don't smile. Right? In your mind. You think about it, it doesn't make you smile. But when you look at it, it makes you smile. Something is there. Where is that something which made you smile? Okay, if with this question, uneasiness comes to your mind. Yes, something made me smile, but it's just a bunch of atoms. Bunch of atoms will not make me smile. Something. What is that something? Where is it? You cannot trace it. You cannot identify it. You cannot pinpoint to that. And uneasiness is left in your mind. If that happens, you are very fortunate. You are very fortunate. So, the point is that if that happens, you have to continue the journey. Study more. Study more. Then things will become clearer. What clearer? That from the object where I see. What's your name?
Evan.
Evan. What Evan said, what I earlier saw as object real that made me smile, it is deceptive. It's all coming from my mind. You getting it? So it will become clearer and clearer to your mind. Okay. So with this subjecting this flower to ultimate analysis, you end up seeing the atom. So if somebody, how many hands you have? You have 2 hands. If somebody comes and abuse you or accuse you, saying that you have taken my Rolex watch and it is in your hand right now. How many hands you have? Okay, just take out your, stretch your 2 hands. Okay, with, what do you call it? Fist. Okay, so since that you have only 2 hands and a person accuses you that you have stolen his Rolex watch and it is in your hand, right in your hand, and you have 2 hands. Okay, first you open the first hand. Open. It's empty, right? Then you open, it may be in the second hand. You open the second hand. There's also empty. So, if it is in your hand, there are only 2 options. There are only 2 possibilities. Both possibilities are ruled out. You're getting it? Both possibilities ruled out means that the person's accusation that the Rolex is what you've stolen, it is in your hand, is proven wrong. Yes?
Yes.
Is there anybody who likes to paraphrase what I said? Or repeat what I said? Quick, in your own words, it's fine. Quick, somebody. Raise hands. Raise hands. Okay, Arjun, you want to say?
If someone has accused me for roving the Rolex watch, then I would say, okay, I have to watch. If I have like stolen it, then it should be either in my left hand or right hand. So when I open my left hand, it's not there.
If it's stolen, it's not necessarily in your hand. It can be in your pocket.
If I'm
No, but what he accused, you have to make it very clear. He said that it is in your hand.
It's in my hand.
Yes. Then only I have two hands. Then
I have two hands. Neither it's in my left, neither it's in my right. So the accusation is.
Since the two possibilities are ruled out,
So it's not in my
accusation is proven to be
wrong.
wrong. You're getting it? How many of you agree with Hajjunar's hands? Good. Okay. So likewise, if the flower does exist objectively, there are only two possibilities. There are only two possible. Objective means from the object, not from the subject. From the object, but the ultimate analysis, which goes closer to the object, has seen only the atoms. This is one possibility. If the atoms are not the flower, remove the atoms. They should be flower different from the atoms, different from the parts. It should be either the atoms, the parts as the flower, or different from the atoms, different from the parts as the flower. These are only two possibilities for the flower to exist from the object. Do you agree? Not agree?
Yes.
Do you agree? Not agree? Hey. Huh? Okay. Now I understand it. In fact, it was many years ago when I was very young. Very young meaning hot blood, right? Very young. Age 20, 25, 26. How many of you are 25, 26 presents? Okay, your age? And I was so much enthusiasm. I must help other people, I must help other people, I must help other people. Right? So enthusiastic. Help in what way? So someone interested in Dharma, I must teach Dharma. Then one Ladakhi monk, he has his uncle or brother or someone in the army close to the monastery. And there's whole Ladakhi, what do you call it? Lava Scott there. And they invited me to give a short talk to the Ladakhi scouts. And this young, very energetic, very enthusiastic, excited monk was there, wanting to liberate everybody to Buddhahood right now. He was so excited. And when he reached there, the ceremony was the next day. And today, all the soldiers were nowhere to be seen because they have their own duties. Only one soldier was there. His duty was to take care of the small altar for the whole army, Ladakh army. He was there. And this young boy was 24, 25. And this man, he must be in his late 50s or early 60s. And he never learned philosophy in his life. And this young boy was teaching, and he showed interest. And this young monk, he was so eager. Oh, there's somebody who is so interested in Dharma. I must liberate him to Buddha right now. Right? And taught emptiness. Whatever he learned the last 10 years, this boy, young boy, he learned the last 10 years, he just vomited everything to him. And what happened? You wouldn't believe. After about 1 hour, right, he was not dozing off. He was so wide awake with eyelids doubled, eyelids folded. What happened? What happened? I was confused. The young boy was confused. What happened? Then later on I realized that this poor man, his brain never worked like this before, the last 50, 60 years. For the first time, the brain was working. And all the muscles, they were confused. Confused and double folded. Then I realized that we should be better skillful. You're getting it? So last 3 years, seems like your eyes are double folded. eyelashes double folded? I'm not too sure, but you feel like, like in a coma state, tired. I can feel that. Okay, so the point is, if the flower does exist objectively, there are only two options. First, you have to subject to ultimate analysis. Subjecting to ultimate analysis, this ultimate analysis should be able to find this flower existing objectively. What did it find? It found atoms. So one option is that atoms should be the flower, if the flower does exist objectively. So atoms should be the flower. Or remove the atoms, there should be a flower different from the atoms. These are only two options. Do you agree or not agree? If somebody accused me that you have stolen my Rolex and it is in your hand right now, there are only two options. Either it should be in my right hand or in the left hand. Yes? And if you rule out that what is said in my right hand is not there, in my left hand is not there, which means that the accusation is proven wrong. Yes? Likewise, if the flower does exist objectively, either it should be seen by the ultimate analysis. If I do exist in the water, how do you evaluate that? Come closer. Coming closer, if I'm really in the water, then when coming closer, you should be able to see that. Coming closer, when you see that it's not there, means what you earlier saw as me being in water is proven to be deceptive. Okay. Likewise, the flower, it does exist subjectively, it should be found by the ultimate analysis. And if it is definable by the ultimate analysis, there are only two options, two possibilities. What are they? Ultimate analysis, when it goes closer to the object, it found the atoms. So either the atoms should be the flower, or remove the atoms, there should be a flower different from the atoms. You agree? Yeah. Good. So, atoms, are they the flower? No, how not? How not? Atoms are not the flower. How not? Anyone? Give me some reasons.
Because I also compose of atoms, so I'm not a flower.
Okay, I'm also composed of atoms. I'm not a flower, but the configuration of the flower atoms for the flower may be different from the configuration of the atoms for you, for Thosamling, right? Anyone else? What reason do you say? Nicola?
We have the image of flower and it's not with the atoms.
Say it again, we have the image of the flower?
The image of the flower, or we can say the concept of the flower. Yes. If it doesn't meet with the atoms,
it doesn't?
Meet with the atom.
Okay, it doesn't tally. It doesn't tally. This is very, very powerful reasoning. Very good reasoning. Saying, we know what a flower is. We have the concept of flower. We know the concept of atoms, and these two don't tally at all. You're getting it? So when we look at flower, we don't say this atom. With the atom, we never say this is a flower. We will not say that, because the concept of flower and the concept of atom, these are very different. They don't tally each other. Very good. Nicola? Same. Anyone else? Permisilla?
When I see the atom, I'm not seeing the flower. So it means that...
I agree with you. When you see the atoms, you don't see the flower. Yes, that's very true. Anyone else? Yes.
The atoms look like tiny, tiny particles, but the flower has petals, color, and a form. So
Flower has all the facets, like the color, the petals, and so forth. And the atoms are tiny, tiny, tiny bits, not flower. Yes.
Like us humans have different associations with flowers. Like with the smell, the looks, we find it beautiful. Atoms do not have those characteristics.
It is amazing. So the flower, people keep the flower either for the beauty, visual beauty, or for the smell. But atoms, they don't have the smell. They don't have this beautiful color. Very good. Angela?
Similar. It doesn't trigger the same emotion as, when I look at the flower, it's like it makes me smile.
Wonderful. Exactly. Now, so look how your perception affects your emotions. With the flower, it affects my emotion in one way. It gives a appealing feeling. With atoms, appearing feeling dissolves. It's very neutral. Okay, from this what we learn is that these atoms that the ultimate analysis is able to see, these atoms are not the flower. What's the second option? First option is ruled out. What's the second option? Different from the parts. If the flower exists as objectively different from the parts, what should we do? We should, how do you see that? Remove the parts, remove the atoms. What is left? Huh? The flower disappears, which means that the flower is not different from the parts. And if you check the essential number 2 and 3, read it. Tell me, what is there? Anyone? Essential number 2, 3. Raise hands, raise hands, raise hands. Manjariji.
The essential of understanding the emptiness of the object being intrinsically different from the part.
Number 2.
Oh, sorry. The essential of understanding the emptiness of the object being intrinsically one with its part.
Ornella, number 3.
Essential of understanding the emptiness, intrinsically different, which is God.
And essential to understand the emptiness of the objects being intrinsically different from its parts. Very good. Okay. Same. Now look. We're going to do a little bit of analytical analysis, and meanwhile we'll follow the 4 essentials. You're getting it? The first one is done. That the flower appears objective real. Objective existence of flower is object of negation. This to be negated. So how to negate it? How to evaluate if the flower exists objectively or not? How to evaluate that? Don't say ultimate analysis. Subject the flower to ultimate analysis. Otherwise, if you say ultimate analysis, get rid of ultimate analysis. Right? So make it complete. Subject the flower to ultimate analysis. Okay. Subject the flower to ultimate analysis. Subject the flower to ultimate analysis, what it is looking for. This ultimate analysis is looking for what? Looking for the flower or looking for the objective existence of the flower? Very good. It is not looking for the flower, it is looking for the objective existence of the flower. So when you say ultimate analysis, subject the flower ultimate analysis, you are looking at whether things exist objectively. Objectively, intrinsically, inherently, they all mean the same. You getting it? So therefore, the second one said, what? Essential for understanding the emptiness of the objects being intrinsically one. Intrinsically one meaning, intrinsically meaning from the object. From the object, the flower and the parts, are they one? From the object, are these two one? Are these two one meaning that from the object, the parts, are they the flower? Flower, are they the flower or not? Okay, now let's see. Let's see that the flower is there right in front of you, and you subject the flower to ultimate analysis. Okay, now imagine that you go through, say you have an electron microscope as your eyes. You go deeper, closer to this object. Going closer to this object, you end up seeing the, let's say the atoms. Okay, stay there. Now, this ultimate analysis is looking for objectively existent flower. Right? This ultimate analysis is looking for something which is objective, something which is intrinsic, something which is inherent. So, what it saw is the atoms, bunch of atoms. Okay. Now, the flower the objective flower that you're looking at, they're looking for. There's objective flower. Is it findable among the atoms? Okay, just imagine atoms, and none of these atoms are to be identified as flower. None of these atoms are to be identified as flower. Just in this experience. If you are convinced with this, none of the atom is a flower in the eyes of ultimate analysis, which means that you are understanding that the flower, objective flower that you're looking at, that you're looking for, is not to be identified as intrinsically, meaning from the object. The parts, atoms, are not to be identified as the flower. How many of you are sure of this? None of the atoms is to be intrinsically identified as from the object to be seen as the flower. Okay, if you are happy with this, stay in this experience. This is if you understood this, you've understood the second essential. Essential understanding the emptiness of the emptiness of being intrinsically one with its parts. Okay, good. This is second essential. Third essential. Now, if you still believe that the flower does exist objectively, then there are two options, two possibilities. One, in the ultimate analysis, the atoms should be seen as intrinsically one with the parts. If that is not, remove that. See if the flower exists as different from the parts, different from the atoms. Okay, remove the atoms and see what is left there as a flower. Nothing is left there as a flower. Stay in this experience. If you're convinced with this is the meaning of essential understanding of the emptiness of the objects being intrinsically different from its parts. Stay in this experience. Okay. Now, of the two options, that the flowers to be identified as intrinsic one with the parts, or to be identified intrinsic different from the parts, both are ruled out. If both are ruled out means the flower does not exist objectively at all. The flower cannot be seen by the ultimate analysis at all. In other words, in the eyes of ultimate analysis, the flower is not there from the object. That's 100% sure. If you're convinced of this, you understood the fourth essential, essential number 4. Understanding understand the pervasion, that anything which is empty of intrinsically being one with its parts and intrinsically different from its parts entails the emptiness of objective existence of the flower. Okay. Stay in this experience for a while. From this conclusion that the flower does not exist from the object in our ultimate analysis, that is the ultimate truth of the flower. Because this is reality which is seen by the ultimate analysis. So what is seen by the valid ultimate analysis known as ultimate truth with respect to the flower? Because this is the analysis done with respect to the flower. So the absence of the flower being objectively real from the object is simply empty. Stay in this experience. That object that you're experiencing now, the absence of the flower as objectively from the object, the flower does not exist at all. It disappears. That is the ultimate reality of the flower. Stay in this experience for a while. Okay. So now, imagine that you slowly come out of this meditation. Again, the flower comes back. You think of the flower comes back, which means that your mind earlier, which took the form of ultimate analysis, now it shifts to become the conventional analysis because you are seeing the flower. When you see the flower, this mind is the conventional analysis. So now your mind has shifted from ultimate analysis to the conventional analysis. So conventional analysis means that the flower appears to your mind. Subjectively, it appears to your mind, but objectively, you discover that it is empty. Objectively, it is empty. From the subject to the subject, it appears as merely subjective. Merely subjective means merely illusion-like. Illusion is described as what is empty from the reality, but still appears as something. That's illusion. So therefore, the flower is like an illusion. Flower is like a dream. Okay, if you can retain this experience, if you can revisit this experience as often as possible, then your mental state, then your overall mental state will become gradually more and more grounded, more and more calm, and will not be affected by by the external factors. Why these external factors affect you is when you see these external factors as objectively real. So what you see as objectively real is diminished, is weakened, and therefore your mind becomes very stable and calm and cannot be affected by fears anymore. Okay, good. Come out of the meditation. Now we will turn to, say, first we will do chapter 24. of the book. Okay, which page number? 119, chapter 24. Okay. Arya Nagarjuna, the author of the text. The author of the text, he was we need to know a little bit about him. At the time of the Buddha, who's the chief attendant of the Buddha? Ananda, Venerable Ananda. Venerable Ananda, one point, when he was in the presence of the Buddha, when the Buddha was teaching about Mahayana, giving Mahayana teachings, Venerable Ananda was so amazed. This is so important teaching. And then in his life, there are many teachings which Buddha gave. Some teachings are for those people who seek personal liberation, and some for the Bodhisattvas, the seeking benefit for all the beings. And yet, we see that if people were to come to you, which of the two you think will be more frequent? So those who say that, oh, ma'am, sir, I have this problem, please help me with this, I have this problem, that problem. It's about the personal problems. Or somebody who comes to you, oh, my community has this problem, Thosamling has this problem, my community has this problem, rather than I have this problem, I have that problem, right? Of the two, which of the two you think will be more, will come to you? Personal problems. Okay. So therefore, those teachings meant for the personal, to address the personal problems, are known as the teachings for personal liberation. Teachings for personal liberation. And whereas those teachings for the community, for larger good, for all sentient beings, so forth, these teachings known as the Mahayana teachings. So given that the Buddha encountered more of those people who seek personal the liberation, so the teachings for personal liberation became so widely spread, and teachings for the Mahayana teachings, they were so less frequent. And this, when Ananda realized, Ananda stood up and asked the Buddha, Venerable Tathagata, these teachings are so precious. This is the safe haven for all the sentient beings. Yet, these teachings are so rare. And when you pass away meaning when you leave the world, so this teaching may diminish. And what will happen to this teaching in the future? Who will uphold this teaching? And the Buddha made a prophecy that after this number of years, there's going to be one monk by the name Naga, with the name Naga, and who will be born in a place of husk, meaning coconut. Where? North or south? Coconut? South. In the land of the coconut, by the name Naga, he will come, and then he will disseminate, proliferate this teaching far and wide. So Arya Nagarjuna was prophesied by the Buddha Shakyamuni himself. Then the historians may differ in the dates. Then Arya Nagarjuna, after a while, after the hundreds of years, Arya Nagarjuna was born in a very rich family. This little boy was born in a very rich family. And in those days, particularly those affluent families, when the child is born, they will take the child and seek advice, consultation from astrologers and some big gurus. So this boy was taken to one astrologer and asked what is the future of this boy. And the astrologer said that this boy will die in 7 days. And the parents, they are so affluent, and they, this is only child, and they could not bear the pain of hearing that the child will die in 7 days. What can we do to sustain his life? And the astrologer said that then you have to, engage in virtues, more virtues that the life of this boy will be sustained. Virtues like generosity on a large scale. And given that they are very affluent family, they did it. And then they extended for like 7 months. So we don't want to see this boy, our child, dying. So tell us what you do to extend it life further. And again, the astrologer said that, again, you have to go for even larger scale generosity towards the monks, nuns, and so forth, monastics, and so forth. And this will help sustain the child to live for 7 years. After this, finish. No way. There's nothing can be done. Beyond this, he will die. Then, almost hitting the 7th year, the two parents, they could not imagine to see the child dying in front of their eyes. So what they did was that they sent the child with them, the helper, a maid, and told the maid that you take this child with you, and whatever you need, the money, gold, silver, whatever you need, you take, and then take the child out of our sight, so that we cannot really have to go through the pain of seeing the child dying. And the maid carried the child, and then end up in a place where the great Saint Saraha was residing. Then the great Saint Saraha asked, "Where are you taking this child?" And narrated all this, the whole story. And the great Saint Saraha said, "Don't worry. So tonight is the last day for this child. I'll protect this child. Keep him next to me." Then he gave all the empowerments, blessings, and so forth. And who's this child? Arya-Nagarjuna. Okay. So, the story has it that then he became such a learned teacher. Arya-Nagarjuna became such a learned teacher, and his life was then extended because of the blessings of the great Saint Saraha. And the great Saint Saraha was his first teacher, formal teacher, Arya-Nagarjuna's teacher. Then the Arya-Nagarjuna, after becoming the incredibly accomplished great teacher, then the Nagas, there's one being, class of beings known as Nagas. Nagas, within Nagas there are some Nagas are extremely harmful, malevolent. Some Nagas are extremely virtuous. There are so many different kinds of human beings. Some are so kind, some are so dharma, some nam-dharma. Likewise, some Nagas that they are so much into dharma. In fact, it said that at the time of the Buddha, there are like thousands of Nagas, they generated bodhicitta in front of the Buddha. Yeah, so these things happen. And then the Nagas, they invited Arya-Nagarjuna to their abode, to their land. And then all these minor teachings, which the Venerable Ananda was worried and asked the Buddha, who's going to preserve these teachings? Till Arya-Nagarjuna's time, from the Buddha to Arya-Nagarjuna's time. So it's almost like the way and manner in which Ananda said, this teaching disappeared from the planet Earth. Maybe it was there left in the few pockets, small pockets here and there. Otherwise, in a broad and wide array of the people, it's all gone, it's disappeared. Some pockets are the great master, the Saraha, and so forth, some pockets are there. Otherwise, so in the eyes of the common public, it disappeared. And then, who preserved? These Nagas preserved these scriptures of the minor teachings. scriptures. Then Nagarjuna, they treated him as they requested him to be the teacher, and then Nagarjuna gave teachings to them, and then as a gift for the teacher, they decided to hand over all the scriptures of the Mahayana teachings, which they preserved the last many centuries, to Nagarjuna. Then they kept one, it is said, the story has said they kept one scripture with them, one text with them, because they request Nagarjuna, please revisit us. To make sure that you revisit us, we'll keep this. When you come next time, then we'll hand over the last piece. So most likely he did not. So last piece is said to be missing. And then these were brought to the planet Earth, and these were what were translated into Tibetan. So what we have here, these are all original manuscripts, original source. They all came from the Nagas. This is the story. Then Nagarjuna, the way and the Buddha, when the manner in which the Buddha taught that without the wisdom of emptiness, there's no liberation. This is what the Buddha very clearly indicated. And then Nagarjuna is particularly there to proliferate the teachings on emptiness, the wisdom of emptiness. So to his credit, there are many books on sutras and tantras. In the context of sutras, they are the corpus of the six main treatises, and one of which is the Ratnamala, or Precious Garland. And this one, Mula Madhyamaka, which we are doing now. So this is a masterpiece among all the six treatises. This is a masterpiece. All others are like supplementary the teachings. Other like in the form of the supplements to this Mula Madhyamaka. So this Mula Madhyamaka, this is the masterpiece, the classic. Okay, this is a little bit about Nagarjuna. Okay. Okay, so we'll just begin with one or two verses and then we'll stop here for this session. We're doing the chapter 24 first, and if we get more time, we'll do the other chapters also. Now we have created the ground. With the ground created, it's very easy for us to follow these texts. Okay, usually for the Bodhicitta retreats, which we conduct in Root Institute in Bodh Gaya, in the winter, normally in November. Nicola, it was in November last time? Last time meaning when you came? October, November? And November? And Omar Kate, when was that? November? 6th November. Okay, so it usually is in November. The retreat, so that is particularly on the very comprehensive picture of the Buddhist teachings. Four seals, emptiness, bodhicitta, the wheel of life, everything is covered in that. Okay. So there, when we go to Nalanda ruins where once all these brilliant masters like Nagarjuna, Bodhisattva Arideva, Acharya Chandrakirti, and then the Bodhisattva Shantideva, Bodhisattva Chandarakshita, Acharya Kamalashil, then Acharya Haribhadra, and the Acharya Dignaga, Acharya Dharmakirti, all these brilliant masters were produced from that university. So there we go to the ruin, and as a group from the Root Institute Bodhicitta Retreat, we all go there and just mentally to talk to these great masters, saying that although now the situation of your teachings here in India, it has become so pathetic. Look at this place where once it was so vibrant with brilliant thoughts of wisdom of emptiness, bodhicitta. So all the monks, they are discussing on emptiness, debating, meditating on bodhicitta and so forth. Now very serious, it becomes ruins. But never mind, we came here to inform you that we are your heirs. We came here to hold the torch, to keep the torch of your Nunnery tradition alive. We are here. So we teach this chapter 24 to inform Arinigarjuna and all his disciples then that this teaching is still alive. It's not dead. Although the place-wise is so barren, but we came here as an heir. We will continue your legacy. So this is, how we do as a part of the Dorji retreat in Road Institute in the month of November in Bodh Gaya. Okay, so chapter 24 says, examination of the Four Noble Truths. So here, usually, or teaching of Four Noble Truths and examination of Four Noble Truths, these are very different. People get confused. It's very different. So here, it is taken for granted that you know Four Noble Truths. Now, it examines whether the Four Noble Truths exist objectively or subjectively. This examination, we're not teaching the Four Noble Truths here. You getting it? So some people think that, okay, examination of Four Noble Truths, chapter 24, I know the Four Noble Truths. Right? Some people, they think like this. This is not the case. It's not teaching Four Noble Truths. It's taken for granted that those people who are studying this, you know what the Four Noble Truths are. Then, so once you know what the Four Noble Truths are, then we examine, the Arinigarjuna examining, if these Four Noble Truths exist objectively or subjectively. How they don't really exist as truly. Okay. And we see that chapter 24, there's more like the dialogue or debate between the advocates of objective existence and Arinigarjuna and the group. Advocates of emptiness of objective existence versus advocates of okay. So is the debate between advocates of emptiness of objective existence and advocates of objective existence. Debate between two. And the Arinigarjuna's time, the opponents are mostly Vaibhashika and Sautrantika. Vaibhashika and Sautrantika. At one point in the text, Bodhicitta Vivarana, in praise of Bodhicitta by Arinigarjuna, there the Chittamatra view is also included. Otherwise, at the time of Arinigarjuna is primarily, when the rejection is happening, debates are happening, is primarily between Madhyamika and the Vaibhashika and Sautrantika. So here is mostly Vaibhashika and Sautrantika. So now to create this, and this debate should not be seen as external debate. You getting it? We shouldn't see that as external debate. Oh, at the time of Arinigarjuna, debates were happening. No, it should be seen as internal debate. Internal debate between how you view things as object real since time immemorial till now, the ignorance, and how you are going to see the things as empty of object reality, which is a wisdom which you're going to inculcate through the blessings of Arinigarjuna. So debate between your early version of the ignorance and the later version of wisdom. So this should be the debate within your mind, not just external debate, right? Okay. So it says, verse 1, it says, if all of this is empty, now the verse 1 through to 6 is the viewpoint of the advocates of objective existence, particularly Vaibhashika and Sautrantika period. Verse 1 through to 6 is primarily the views of the advocates of objective existence, particularly Vaibhashika and Sautrantika, who believe in objective existence. And for them, emptiness of objective existence means nothingness. For them, emptiness of objective existence means nothingness, because they could not distinguish the two. For them, when Arinigarjuna says nothing is objectively, to the ears it is like saying that Arinigarjuna is saying that nothing exists. So for them, Arinigarjuna is seen as nihilist. And even today, many of the Western philosophers, and many of the Western, the people who study philosophy in the West, they take Arinigarjuna as idealist. Idealist meaning who just talk about they're all just in your mind, nothing's really there. This is total naivety. You're getting it? So to come to such conclusion that Arinigarjuna is nihilist or idealists and so forth, first you have to know Aranagarjuna's philosophy so thoroughly. Only if you are very thorough with Aranagarjuna's philosophy, you are the legitimate person to judge on Aranagarjuna. Till that point, if you say Aranagarjuna is idealist, nihilist, you become you become so naive. You become so naive. Okay. So the debate, the Aranagarjuna very clearly indicate that the opponents who reject the emptiness, or who advocate objective existence, for them, existence and objective existence, these two are synonymous. If something exists, okay, this is very important. If something exists, it should exist objectively. If you say it doesn't exist objectively, means it doesn't exist at all. You're getting it? So they equate the two, whereas Aranagarjuna separate the two, tease apart the two, saying that objective existence doesn't exist, existence does exist. You are getting it? So when you're able to make this separation, that requires a lot of intelligence. Okay, so let's see. Verse 1 says, if all of this is empty, this is opponent's view, neither word arising, no ceasing exists. This is so important. If everything is, if you say that nothing exists objectively, everything is empty of objective existence, you are saying that even the ceasing and arising, these two are also empty of objective existence. They are also empty. So, do you agree with me that this world, this world is operating on the basis of ceasing and arising? Ceasing and arising, yes? The results arise, 2023 arose, 2022 ceased. You're getting it? And so when we're younger meaning little, age 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, we always crave, how I wish if I'm older. Right? We crave for the older to arise, older age, more dignified age to arise, and this young, nobody pays heed to you, that to cease. When you become old meaning when you age like 20, right? Then you don't want to grow older, but the older arises and your youth ceases. Right? So this retreat, when did we start? 13th.
March 13th March 2023.
No, which date? 30th March. So, like 20th, 21st, or like 10th of March, you're planning. Which means that retreat is arising. Right? Retreat is arising. Now, the retreat is ceasing. You're getting ceasing, arising, ceasing, arising, ceasing, arising. This is what dominates the whole universe. Within this, law of karma operates. Law of karma means you accumulate karma, effect arises, karma diminishes. Again, you accumulate new karma, the effect is ripened. So this is how the universe is operating, ceasing and arising. So these two activities dominate the whole universe. You getting it? Okay. So if you say that nothing exists objectively, then ceasing and arising cannot be posited. Then you cannot talk about the operation of the whole universe. Then for you it follows that Four Noble Truths would not exist. Four Noble Truths, truths of suffering as a result. Truths of the cause of suffering as a cause. Cause ceases and the result arises. So, Four Noble Truth, first truth and second truth, cause ceasing and arising. Truth number 3 and 4. 3 is what? Truth of cessation. Truth of cessation as a result, and the truth of the party to cessation as the cause. So the result arises and the cause ceases. Cause and effect, you cannot account for the Four Noble Truths, because the whole concept of Four Noble Truths, they rest on the concept of the ceasing and arising of the cause and effect. You cannot account for the Four Noble Truths. 2. If the Four Noble Truths do not exist, then knowledge, abandonment, meditation, and actualization would not be visible. Buddha taught, okay, this is very important. Buddha taught the Four Noble Truths in what is known as 12 recitations. Let me repeat it. Buddha taught the Four Noble Truths in what is known as the 12 recitations. Okay, we'll stop here. Yata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhiswatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Samgate Bodhiswatyata Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswatyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswatyata